with an outcome in favor of what liberal people wanted and what the country kind of needed, that's why there were no protests.
I mean, I think if Joe Biden had not won, there probably would have been like riots and protests.
I think if the election had gone other ways, it would have been a little less peaceful out here.
Hey, I'm Lisa with the Daily Caller News Foundation. Businesses across DC boarded up ahead of the election. Today, we're asking people why they think there didn't end up being any riots. Let's see what they have to say. Why don't you think there ended up being any riots?
I think that if the Trump supporters were to come here, that would incite a lot of disruption and a lot of violence.
I've heard people say that, you don't hear because, there would have been riots if he had won and that's the liberals' fault. But the truth is, other people's basic human rights were not at stake. And so I think it makes sense that people were ready to riot. Were their basic human rights at stake again?
I don't think the Biden folks would have been out here causing trouble. That's my estimation.
Halfway through the votes getting in, I think it was pretty clear what was going to happen, and it turned a little bit more into a party than a riot.
I think businesses have the right to prepare in any kind of way that they want to preserve their business, but it wasn't necessary given the outcome.
I don't think that there were any riots because I think people were just very happy to have a moment of celebration.
People just wanted to come out and just send an unmistakable message to the president that you didn't win. You thought we're going to come here, loot, burn, and pillage everything, and that's not what's going to happen.
If there was a situation in which the Trump side would win, then I think we could see. But this was not the case. This community is mostly Biden supporters anyway.
It's only fear that got all of these boards up. So there was a fear. But the sentiment of the people, of which I am one, is that we're really tired of the unrest.
For him to do what he did in June, going over to that church and holding up the Bible, it's like that's execrable. And trying to use the military and National Guard to basically shove peaceful protesters and media people away was just awful. It sent a terrible message to this world. That this country is almost like a dictatorship, but it's not. Democracy won, and he lost, big.
I mean, in DC, if it's a DC metro crowd, people from this area, Maryland and Virginia close by, well then, we protest peacefully. A lot of the people that were violent came from outside of the city.
I think people want, there to be peace, I think.